You're watching Behind the Headlines. I'm Lee Pacchia. My guest today is John Alber from Bryan Cave. He's the firm's strategic technology partner, and he's working on a project that has fundamentally changed the way Bryan Cave interacts with its clients. We're very happy to have him stop by. John, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, lots to talk about. You're working on some really interesting stuff. Let's start at the beginning. What is a strategic technology partner?
It's a tip of the hat to Andy Granatelli, STP. My job is, I won't say I'm without portfolio, but I'm given wide latitude to find new ways to deliver legal services and to improve what we do. And in the course of that, I've wound up creating several groups that impact those areas, that find different ways to improve service or new legal service models, new ways of delivering legal
How many
service.
people at the firm report to you?
Well, it's variable because some of them are contract attorneys, but on the order of 75.
So tell us about this project. It's called the Rosetta Project. What's it all about?
Well, we use the sense of the word Rosetta for a codex or a decoder. Rosetta is about taking big data, it's a term that you hear a lot of these days, and making sense of it to regular people, to regular lawyers in their practices. So for a decade, we've developed a financial suite to help our lawyers understand their businesses, to help them figure out how to price services to clients, how to deliver on their promises to clients and do that sort of thing. But it's all numbers and not so many words. And while the uptake of that has been phenomenal, we've gotten more than, of our partners, 86% uptake, meaning they've used it at least once in the last year. But uptake is not understanding. Uptake is not thoroughly making use of the information.
Lawyers don't always get along with numbers. They're not traditional friends.
Well, at least half of them are English majors. But
right.
Yeah.
So how do you get lawyers to understand numbers and use them in a productive manner in their own practices? That's a challenge.
Yeah, but it's possible. Rosetta is about turning numbers into stories, because people can relate to stories, and lawyers can relate to stories where they're the protagonist, and the obstacles that they face or the opportunities that they face can be presented as tales rather than as a collection of numbers or columns or spreadsheets or whatever. So the goal of Rosetta is to turn the basic key performance indicators, the business indicators that we gather and present to lawyers, into stories. It's a really interesting thing.
It sounds difficult. I mean, what are the key metrics you guys look at in terms of creating a story to tell partners at the firm how they can increase their business?
Well, there are 8 core metrics that, and this is going to be the test, I need a cheat sheet, but there are things like margin, profitability, billable hours, originating hours, hours for in that type of role, hours that you're a responsible lawyer, billing speed, collect speed, the various practice hygiene kinds of measurements, and leverage. Those are the key ones. Everything else is some combination or nuance of that.
It's really interesting. I mean, you're essentially making lawyers think about their practice not only as practicing law, but it's also a business at the end of the day. What's the learning curve like? How quickly are attorneys picking up this concept?
Well, a good way to measure uptake of basic financial information is to see how many people make use of the information. And when we started about 10 years ago with a basic suite of information tools, our uptake was on the order of 10%. Through a number of techniques, of which Rosetta is the last, the uptake is now in excess of 85%. So about 86% among partners, and just about as high among associates, counsel, and others who make use of the system. So, I mean, we've had to make a lot of mistakes to figure out how to get uptake. And Rosetta, it's not the latest mistake, I hope. It's another way to sort of deepen engagement with these key performance metrics.
What's been the biggest surprise in terms of rolling this out that's come across your desk?
It's not as easy as we thought it was to begin with. Originally, we thought, well, this is just some algorithms. But humans read stories in a certain way, and to get a computer to assimilate a mass of enterprise information and then turn it into something that's not just a drone, something that has, real human interest. That's kind of challenging.
So you used the word stories before to describe the information that you're transmitting to these partners at your firm. Walk me through a standard report that you guys put out. What's the user's experience like?
Well, we're using Rosetta right now to go to certain types of managing lawyers, and a report like that might say that Bob Smith had a great year last year. His collections were 20% above the previous year, and it's on rising margins. His profitability is improving. The reason his profitability is improving is because he's made some changes in leverage. He's driven some work to lower cost attorneys, or he's managed to find another combination that lowers his costs. But he's got some opportunities in his practice. His pricing has got some room in it. He might be able to alter that and change it. That's the kind of story we would tell. So when somebody's sitting down with that lawyer and talking to him or her, that's the kind of conversation they can have
now,
with that lawyer.
It's interesting because each of the partners that get these reports, in analyzing what they're doing and the broader practice area or business or industry that they're working in, there's literally a universe of data and information that your team can be diving through and trying to figure out what it all means. It must be hard to know when to stop. I mean, when do you make the decision, okay, we know what we need to know to make an informed recommendation to partner X? When do you make the call? That's got to be tough.
There's a certain amount of intuition or gut in that, but it comes from having done it manually, having sat down with lawyers time after time after time. And, we've learned when the eyes begin to glaze over and when we've given too much. So these Rosetta stories that we build, they aim for the real key decision points, the real opportunities. And they leave some things out in order to achieve focus. That's part of the intention of that.
As far as we know, Bryan Cave's the only firm out there doing this. What, in your opinion, is the rest of Big Law missing? Why aren't they doing this as well?
Well, part of it is the foundation for this. In order to do this, you need to have real command of, you need to have certain types of enterprise data, and then you need to have real command of it. And that's been a 10-year undertaking for us. I couldn't imagine trying something like Rosetta without that foundation.
It's a big investment.
It's an investment of thought, some investment of money, certainly an investment of resources, and the whole firm needs to be woven into that effort. It can't be something that emerges from a back room someplace.
Now, your firm merged with a Denver-based firm by the name of Holm, Roberts, and Owen. Third significant merger since '02. Has anything surprised you in terms of the integration process, especially when it comes to the project you're working on?
Well, those folks are, they've been very receptive to the kinds of things that the three groups I work with do, the sort of innovative use of technology in dealing with clients and understanding the business of the law and so forth.
Did they know about it before they got to Bryan Cave, or was this the big surprise on the back end of the merger?
A few, yeah, certainly that was part of the discussions, but we made a point of going to Denver, not just me, but members of the different teams and different groups that I have, and lots of other people have gone there and talked about it. And the uptake has been really surprising. It's quite good, really.
John Alber, thank you so much for stopping by. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
That's John Alber from Bryan Cave. If you'd like to learn more about the issues we just discussed, be sure to go check out our offerings on BloombergLaw.com and also on the Bloomberg Terminal. You can follow our updates on Twitter and see more of our videos on YouTube. I'm Pacchia. Thanks for watching.